Okay, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm not sure this will work with my Bluetooth on. But a newly planted tree, looks like a ginkgo, I'm guessing? Definitely a ginkgo. And it's buried way too deep, and it has all that mulch around it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about mulch, and hopefully not make you dizzy while I walk down the street here, because I can't flip my camera. So, mulch. It's supposed to get rid of that harmful grass and weeds that compete with the tree roots, which is, I think, absurd. I think the literature would show that it's absurd. Here's another too deep for an oak tree. That mulch should be at least 4 inches away from the base of the tree. It's going to cause girdling. I'll show you an example of that soon. So grasses produce these fibrous roots that come out horizontally and they don't have any sort of taproot. Not all trees produce a taproot, but most of them produce a taproot. And they do this thing called niche partitioning. Niche partitioning is a fancy way of saying if there's a root girdled, and that's probably from the sidewalk. Niche partitioning is a fancy way of saying that if we're at a grocery store and we have a limited amount of money and there are limited things to purchase, that might be all too real right now. I might choose to buy bananas and spinach so that you can have the apples and broccoli, and we're not competing for the bananas, right? So we have partitioned the resources so that we each get what we need. Well, grasses and things that are called forbs, or these very ephemeral weedy things, or these beautiful violets, they have a very shallow rooting system. They don't need a deep rooting system. Whereas the trees will have a very deep, thick rooting system. And even those saplings are going to have roots that are exploring far deeper than the grasses will explore. So they're niche partitioning. They're not competing. Here's another example of a girdled root. This is definitely, you can tell from the mounding of the earth that this has been repeatedly mulched, and so the roots try to get to the oxygen because the tree's buried too deep in that mulch, or if the tree's buried too deep without the mulch. And as a result of searching for that oxygen, they do this funky thing of starting to curl around themselves, and as you can see, they literally girdle or cut off their own vascular system. That's like putting a tourniquet on your finger or your arm. Not healthy for the tree. It opens the tree up for disease. They can survive for a long time with that girdling, but they're going to be a weaker tree and a sicker tree, much like we see here with this tree losing its bark. It's a sure sign of weakness, sickness. You can see it all the way down here as well. This maple hasn't even started to bud yet. Okay, which is also a sign of not having enough resources to do what it needs to do at this time of year, or at least under these temperatures. Alright, so for a tree like this redbud right here, that composting or that mulching you may want to do because you want to delineate your flower beds. But if you're mulching a tree like this, some cultivar of dogwood, I think, I'm not sure on that one, then it's a complete, not only is it potentially harming the tree, but it's also a complete waste of money. So for this tree, the mulch is actually getting to the drip line of the tree. Alright, so this sapling, the drip line, is where the canopy ends, and it would drip down. From that point outward, as the tree grows, the approximate equivalent of the length would be the equivalent of the height of the tree. Okay, so what am I just saying, because I did not say that very well. So this tree here, its roots, its drip line is coming down right there, that large tree. So its roots extend likely the height of that tree laid down on its side. So those roots are coming all the way out here. The roots, primary roots that are involved in feeding and water uptake are the roots at the tip of the root ball. So the majority, if you wanted to actually mulch to protect roots that you think are involved in water absorption and nutrient uptake, then you would actually have a huge donut. Like this oak here, you would have a huge donut around that oak of mulch. Like a massive, maybe 6-foot donut band that went into the other person's yard. So mulching a tree right around its base is not only a waste of money, it's harmful to the tree. I just don't understand why people do it. I think it's got to be the aesthetics, and because, like my grandpa taught me, you fill up a tree that's got a hole in it with cement. And now we know you don't do that because it actually does more damage. But I guess, if you don't know, you don't know, right? Don't ask me about accounting. I can't answer those questions. All right, so hopefully this has been of some use, and hope you all are safe and staying sane.